Um, they say no man is an island, but I think I've always been that island, and I've flourished. While I won't say everyone, but a lot of other people who are like continents, they're countries, they're like big, big lands of land. They still struggle, but when it comes to this so-called black community, um, again, it's not all of them. It's not all of them, but being an island away from them, from the worst ones, it's beneficial. It is beneficial. Um, I remember, in high school, man. Like that's when my anxiety really started, or I took notice of it. But that's when you're trying to fit in. You're doing things, you know, that you're not comfortable doing. Was when a lot of people, children, they go to high school, they change. They come more, hood or street, thug or gangster, things like that. They come more hoodlum like. And I tried it, but it just wasn't me. And I think that's what got, that made me so anxious. Becoming something that I'm not. Because at the time, that's all I knew. And it kind of goes back to rap music. I know I said, rap music can't condition me. I still feel that it can, because I don't do what they do. But when you're a kid and all you know is rap music, that's all you know, you attempt to imitate it, unconsciously or consciously, to fit in with the crowd. And no one in that crowd was listening to rock music. They weren't listening to country music. They weren't really, listening to any R&B or jazz or classical. It's just rap music. Again, I don't hate rap music, but the message that it sends, it's unproductive. And for a while, I went that route a little bit, but I didn't feel good. It didn't feel good trying to be hoodlum. I wore, baggy clothes. I wore those like long, those long t-shirts. Long t-shirts, long jerseys. Say long t-shirts, rappers. Not really showing it, but back in the day, like things like this, like I used to wear long ass jerseys, long ass shirts, yo. Oh my god. I had two of these long shirts, one with the one with 50 Cent and the other with I think The Game or probably Tupac. And I'm just trying to fit in, trying to become something. At the same time, it just didn't feel right. Didn't feel right, and with the anxiety and trying to fit in and having to deal with this, the so-called, black people at the time, teens, black children. It's hard because that's all you saw. There was no group that was just listening to country music. There's no group listening to like easy rock. No group listening to some 90, no listening to like 80s or 70s or 60s music. It's just rap and gangster rap. But I'm grateful for it. All the artists that I listen to, I still have respect for, still listen to them to this day. But it's not listening that's the problem. It's the influence and the imitating. I didn't, sell drugs, do any drugs, and beat anyone up, do any gang banging. I just, was me, kept to myself. I want to stay on a, at the time, I don't know, maybe it was a righteous path. I think I was like very smart for my age back then. I really wanted to be positive, constructive, righteous, all that stuff. But at that time, that's when I did discover like dancehall and like reggae, more reggae. And the reggae, it comforted me. That reggae music did comfort me and helped guide me through school and kept me on a certain path. So again, it's not all so-called black people are a problem, but it's just that section. And like I said, you're living in a community and one house is on fire. You're not going to take notice or acknowledge the houses that are not on fire. You're going to be acknowledging the house that's on fire. You're going to be running, scrambling for help, trying to, save people, save items, call for 911. It's just that section. And this section I've noticed for a long time, way before high school. But high school, really, made it clear. But then once you're an adult, you really see things because of YouTube. You really see things. You don't have to go outside anymore. Just hop on YouTube, social media. You're going to see this same, what's that word? Buffoonery. All around the world, And, man, for me to survive, man, I shouldn't even be alive, man. High school was it was a struggle, man. It was a struggle. I shouldn't even be here, but it was a struggle. I did it. I'm where I am today, and it's all thanks to me. Being that island, saved me. And, if I took that quote literally, I would probably be a hoodlum right now. And I'm a misanthrope. I never liked people when I was young. Just never liked them. I can say never ever liked them, but I was suspect of them as a child. Little weary of them. And then you get older, high school, and they start to do stuff. And then social media, you see what they're doing, and it affects you. It affects me. One of the reasons why I hate people is I think it kind of goes back to school. Being like elementary school. I listen, follow instructions because I want to go outside. I want to go outside and play. I want to go home. And there have certain students of many races, acting out. But they would, keep talking, keep being disruptive. Well, I want to go home. I want to go for recess. I have to stay behind. I have to stay inside for recess. I have to stay inside so I can't go home. Because back in those days, the school was able to keep you in from 3:30 to 4. They were allowed to keep you till 4 o'clock sometimes. To either finish work or maybe detention, things like that. But now I think it's different. It may happen to some places, but not too much where I am right now. But I think that kind of triggered it. That, it's that moment that created the Joker, per se. And that kind of goes back to, the so-called black community. When you're a misanthrope, you notice things. You hear things. We, or at least I won't mention it. I won't say anything. I won't act on it. You won't even know that I see it. But I see things, I hear things. Whether it's done to me or other people, I'm seeing and I'm hearing it, and it's only reinforcing my hatred. And then when the so-called community does things, it's only reinforcing that. It's only influencing me to be like, what the heck is going on? What's wrong with you? To be more aggressive, maybe not physically aggressive, but inside, like, I'm aggressive. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you stupid? That's what I'm saying inside. Things like that. Like, this guy is an idiot. This girl's an idiot. Why is he doing that? Type of things. Or, things they do is like, I would want to whoop this guy's ass. I would do something to them. Because of the things they do and say. It's like, damn. And when the black community's been doing it for so long, it's like, damn, man. You're only reinforcing my misanthropism, if that's even a word. One of the worst experience, again, I don't really hang around them, at work, gym. I see them, no problem, but I guess I can talk about high school. I was hanging, again, this is a time where I was so uncomfortable. And I was trying to find who I am. And, and I wish I could probably redo it. There was a white kid I knew from like grade 3. We went to high school and, call me the villain, but I chose the so-called black crowd at the time. And I, just like any high schooler, any child, you turn your back on your old peers sometimes. And I did it. And looking back at it, man, I was horrible. I chose the so-called black crowd. It's like that fork in the road. I chose the so-called black crowd because I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. And it was a struggle, man. And I regret it, man. I didn't know better. At the time, I couldn't see the future. And I chose that crowd. And it was just a lot of, I don't know. I guess ripping on me, teasing me. You can say as far as bullying, I don't know. But it just was, I hated it. I feel like I was way before my time. And, I just wanted things to be productive. And this whole black thing, being in this black realm, to me it wasn't productive. It was kind of dumb. And I wouldn't agree with certain things that they were saying or wanted. I saw things completely different. And when you have a different opinion and you're going against the grain or going on a different path, specifically the so-called black community, again, not all of them, but a section of them, when you have a different opinion, you want to go a different way, you want to play country music, things like that, they will criticize you. They will rip on you. They will tease you, bully you for that. That's because you have a different opinion and want to do something else. And I've been through it. Briefly, I've been through it. Another worst experience that I had, the 2 times that I knew someone, maybe it was 1 time. It could have been 1. I think it was 2. Maybe that 1 time where someone stole from me. I know it was just only 1 time. It was a so-called, black. And you could say it was my fault, but if anyone else had left something in the change room, I would have left it. Or, maybe I wouldn't return it. I probably would have left it. Maybe I would have, depending on the circumstance. But it was a basketball game. We're playing a basketball game. And I left my iPod Nanos. That's how old I am. I left my iPod Nanos in my sweatpants in the change room. Then we play the game. The game's over. And I'm like, where's my pants? So I go back into the change room and I remember, hey, I left my iPod Nano in my pants as well. I go back, my pants is there, but my iPod Nano is gone. And the only team I knew that went in there was the team that we played against. And the whole roster was filled of you know what. Hey, maybe it wasn't them, but you know, that's what happens when you have a reputation. That's what happens when you have a reputation. People are going to immediately assume it was you that did it. And I don't want to be that person, but at the time, there in that setting, they're the only ones that I seen going into that change room at the time. And it was gone. There's another time, I know it was like maybe grade 1, grade 1. I know it's, sorry, but probably doesn't count. But I have nothing recent, though. I have nothing recent because, again, I stick to myself. Remember grade 1, I think I had, what was it? I think it might have been one of those nanotechs. No, those Kamagotchis, I think. I think I had one. And, grade 1, the big kids, he's probably maybe grade 5 or whatnot. So, you think, he's making you seem cool. You think just because he's talking to you, you're cool and all that. He takes my, I think, Tamagotchi. I think it was Tamagotchi. I can't remember what it was. But I know he took something from me. And he says he's always going to give it back to me later. I'm only grade 1, thinking, oh, yeah, cool. I'm talking to a big kid, he thinks I'm cool, I guess. So I let him have it. And then at the end of the day, I see him. I see him and I'm calling him, saying, hey, hi. And I see him with the thing, and he's just walking away, and he's just ignoring me. He's ignoring me. And basically, he takes my thing, and I never see it again. These are like 2 bad examples, but hey, the only examples that I know and I can remember of losing something or someone stealing something from me was the so-called Negro. And again, I'm not saying they're the only ones that steal, but we're talking about them exclusively. And those 2 situations, it was just them. And I'm pretty sure I have been ripped off without knowing from other races, but it's only them. And there's a few occasions where they're just so rude, You coming in as a customer, like they're, not just them, but usually it's like they're sometimes some of the most rudest. It's either them or like old white women that are very rude. With the death of Jesse Jackson, and as we're talking about this, what did Martin Luther King Jr. actually do? Like, what did he do exactly? I know I could easily search it, but what did he do? Yeah, what did MLK actually do? Other than giving, great, outstanding speeches. Like, we could only recount his speeches. We could only recount him, marching. But what exactly... Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I just been interrupted. Hope it doesn't happen again, but MLK marched and he made nice, cool speeches, but what exactly was done? Was it the whole segregation thing? Integration, segregation thing? I mean, didn't they want that anyways? I mean, with the so-called black man, segregated, it made us powerful. It made them more stronger. It allowed more unity. So, how do you tear that down? How do you tear that down? You get a spokesperson with a nice voice. Because they know, so-called black people, they love to listen to people who can talk well. So this guy comes and gives these speeches because he can talk very well. Talks very well. And, the so-called black man decides, we don't want to just be with ourselves. We want to be with everyone else. They want to give all that power away, pretty much. And then, he goes, he's gone. What has changed, really? I don't know. Like, I obviously know. I don't want to get too into it, but I think, and I know, I don't say I know, but I believe and I accept that certain people put into certain positions were just used for an agenda. When the media and the so-called government, when they don't want to hear anything from you, they're not going to film you and listen to you talk. They're not going to put Martin Luther King or Malcolm X and give them media attention. They're not going to do that. If they really hated you and they didn't want to hear what you say, they're not going to film you and give you all this stardom, all this power, all this attention. I do, and I accept that it was part of the agenda, because when they don't want that, or they want to hear you speak, they're not going to film you. If you want to think things are so-called black and white, why would the white man who hates, who are racist and hates, so-called black people, why would they give them all this amount of attention? Because when they hate you, they don't give you attention. They what? They blackball you. They ignore you. They make you go broke. They make you suffer. They make you suffer. They don't give you a time a day. But they're going to give people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all this screen time, all this power, all this acknowledgement. If they really hated you and thought you were nothing, why do they give people like Tupac so much attention and screen time? Makes no sense. While other people who are talented, that come with positive messages, or who are not gangster or making gangster rap, they get nothing. No screen time. People hate them. They can't be in movies. They can't make albums. But they give Martin. They give what's his first name? I can't remember. I think it was Jacob Little. And they give Tupac so much screen time. So much audio, so much attention. Because they're all just part of the agenda. They're all part of an agenda or the agenda. Oh, the white media hates you, but they're going to give these two Negroes or three Negroes so much screen time. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. The best they could do is Tupac. I mean, I know I listen to his music. I like his music, but come on. Tupac has this role model? Come on, be real, man. I liked him as a kid and all of that, but be real, man. Tupac as a role model. As someone that, we should look up to and worship. Like, come on. Well, what's his name? That poet. Damn. I was interrupted again, but does poets like Jill Scott Heron, does he get the same amount of attention as Tupac? Many people don't even know who this is. It was a poet that had like a lot of conscious lyrics, a lot of lyrics that would be like that are constructive, that will that'll make you want to do the right thing, if that makes sense. But he doesn't get that same attention. He doesn't get that same amount of attention, but people like Tupac. This guy was before Tupac. And another thing, how the hell, I've always wondered this, how did Tupac go through so much stuff in 6 years of his life? That guy was famous for 6 years, maybe 18, 19, 20. How did he go through so much? Albums, crime, jail time, movies, controversy. How does he do all that in 6 years? What? That's so much drama in that short time. And then when I first heard he died, as an adult, and I'm 26. How did he go through so much in that short time? So much drama. The average person doesn't go through that much drama in 6 years of their adulthood. They go through maybe one thing and that's it, and they stay in it. This guy was making movies, music, interviews. He was, talking, had his gun songs, gangster thug songs, but yet he was given all the screen time. I know I'm going off topic, but what I'm trying to say is, and trying to wonder, what did MLK actually do, other than speeches and marching? And you got to realize their agendas. They don't give screen time to anyone and everyone. If they have an agenda, they're going to keep you on the screen. They're going to give you days in the year. They're going to worship you, honor you, give you statues because you are part of an agenda. Or sometimes they will hate you because you're part of an agenda. As long as they're giving you some kind of attention, a lot of attention, you were part of that agenda. They're not going to give some random person who just, sings and makes movies and that's it. They want their problem. They want their controversy. No, I know I'm going a little off topic, but yeah. Last few things I want to talk about. The Nword, man. You want to say it, but I don't get it. This is basically a word, or comes from a word, used as a derogatory word, used to insult the so-called black man. But we have almost every so-called Negro, and Negro isn't the same thing. I think all Negro means is black, and I think Negro is more appropriate word to say. But some will call that more offensive, but nevertheless. But to use the Nigga word, I never understood it, and I don't use it. I don't say it. I don't say it. I don't use it. I just don't get it. To use a word that's meant to insult you, it's like the other nations using words that were made to insult them, but they kind of change it up a little bit. The so-called black race is the only race that does that on a daily basis. In every song, every movie, whether in the park, whether anywhere, only the same nation that uses that Nigga word. Whether it's, for friendly stuff or enemies or thing or hate or love in their songs and their movies, only race that does that. I never got it, never understood it, never said it. No one ever asked why I never said it. Because I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Don't get it. Inventors. One thing with inventors, or if so-called black man was the first so-called black man to do it or whatever the case may be. One thing I don't like is when so-called black people say we. like for instance, when, for example, Garrett Morgan, apparently he created the traffic light or the traffic signal. Dr. Bath probably created the glasses. Lonnie Johnson created the super soaker. I think another so-called black man created the peanut butter. Peanut butter, I think it's so. But then a lot of black people will say, we did it. We created it. And I kind of get what you mean, but the truth is, you ain't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. So stop saying we, like we did it, like we came together and decided to make no. Because oftentimes the so-called black men, not all of them, but most of them, they ain't do shit. They ain't do shit for themselves. All they want to do is sit, listen to rap music, eat, and that's about it. And then they want to say that we made shit. We did that. We didn't do nothing. Garrett Morgan did. Dr. Bath did. Lonnie Johnson did. Benjamin Banneker did. They did. I rather you say, hey, the so-called black people did it. But when you say we, you're acting like you participate in it. When damn no well, you ain't ever try to make anything. You just go with the flow. And that's it. Like any other person. You just go with the flow and you're just a freeloader. You're just a bandwagon. But as soon as someone or something wins or does something first, all of a sudden you want to say we. You ain't do nothing. They won. They did all the work. Even if you were in their presence, you wouldn't do anything anyways. So stop saying we. We didn't do nothing. They did it. They get the credit. Because if I invented something and created something, which I have, no one ain't going to say we did it. And I'm not going to say, hey, you and us, we made it. No, I made this. I made this through my actions and my thought. But a lot of these so-called, black people, they're just bandwagoners. They're freeloaders. I think that's about it, man. I know I did 3 parts of this. I just needed to, I don't know what I will say, rant or vent, but I need to get something off my chest. I mean, a lot of people, particularly me, I'll just say me, I've been frustrated for a long time with this so-called black race, man. I see power in them, man. I see power in every single one of them. But, they again, not all, but they just fail, man. It's not all of them. But they fail. They keep, creating this bad image. They make stereotypes be true all the time. I know it's not all of them, and I know other races and other nations act up too. But from what I've seen as a young child till now, man, the things that this black race does is unacceptable. And I think we need to call them out. It makes no sense to keep our mouths shut because other nations do it too. No. Hey, if you want something to be better, you gotta be honest and direct. And I'm not the first person. Many people before and after have been direct and have said some of the things I've said, or have said even more and better things. But this race continues to be in the shape that it's in. Some from the youth to adults, they continue to act the way they act and behave the way they behave. Again, it's not all of them, but it's that section. And it's like, and we're just annoyed. And we're just annoyed. I'm not the only one annoyed. There's other so-called black people who are annoyed. Other nations are annoyed. We see this happening over and over. We're tired of it. We're tired of it. But they do it again and over again. It's frustrating. I see the power, the ability in these people. But I could, say all these excuses. But at the end of the day, they are the ones making these choices. Excuse my language. I don't want to offend anyone, but we're not all autistic. We are not all autistic. We are not all retarded. We're not. But they continue to make these deliberate choices of stealing, harming, and destroying their own nation and community and other people. The behavior in school, in work. It's so much. It's only because of social media, the internet, YouTube, is why I see what's been going on. And I've had enough of it back in the 90s. Mostly early 2000s. But I've had enough. And here I am letting the world know that I've had enough of their behavior. Same people that will criticize you for liking various movies or music. Well, they themselves are in the shape that they're in. It's the choices that you make. It comes down to the choices. And I think the Spider-Man quote, great power comes with great responsibility. When you look at the black people, great power comes great accountability, but there's none there. They can't make good choices. They can't. The communities are done. The homes are done. It's like a never-ending cycle. And they continue this. How about these movies? I love movies. But most of these sports movies are like real life true story so-called black movies. We see the same thing. Coach Carter, same thing. Gridiron Gang, same thing. There's so much more I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's the same thing. It's like our behavior is profitable. And it's based on because of the choices that you as individuals make. And another thing I hate is like when they treat children like they're stupid, like they can't make choices. Like they can't be accountable for their own choices. If a child makes a choice, they need to be accountable for that. They need to be disciplined and accept the consequence and the reaction for their choices. Stop treating them like they can't make a productive choice. Sure, they're going to make mistakes, but they made those choices. We got to hold them accountable. Teach them right from wrong. Discipline them. Show them why it's wrong. What's going to happen if you do this? What's going to happen if you keep doing this? But even when you tell those in the so-called black community, they don't want to listen. They want to keep doing their own thing. And their own thing that we have been seeing for many years, it's what's causing people to be, so-called black fatigued. We're tired of it. And it comes back down to choices and being accountable. There's so much more, but choices and being accountable. But they fail. Again, it's not all of them. Not all of them. I know it's not all. But that section, they fail. They fail. the last part. Even if I have something else I want to add, I'm gonna end it there. I already did like maybe 2.5 hours of this. Something I just had to do, and so people can see the way I think, the way I see things, which may be wrong, right. You may have a different opinion about it, but at the end of the day, this is what I've experienced, and what I have experienced is, I know I do pretty good because I've been an island. But things that I've seen on YouTube and little experience that I've experienced growing up, man, it's bad. It's been bad back then, but it's really bad now. Well, anyways, let the lightning be your sword and the sun be your shield.